Hey everyone, Daniel here, and welcome to 2021. And also welcome to the very last 4 chapters of the 7 Wonders. The last month we're going to do this. And this is chapter 9, the 7 Wonders of Magic. And of course, magic is a topic that we can never cover in one chapter and really not even in one book. You could literally ask 7 different experts, get 7 different answers, and every one of them would be correct. Magic is complex and mysterious, and has an equally complex and mysterious past, dating all the way back to our most primitive hunter-gatherer tribes, long before ancient civilizations came along. Magic is indigenous wisdom, and the root of all spiritual traditions and world religions, but it is also the root of modern science. In ancient times, there were not 2 words for spirituality and science, because they were actually both one and the same. Of course, we also have artists and authors and illusionists and con artists who cash in on our innate fascination with the occult. And it's for this reason that I use the Old English spelling of magic to, many people do this actually, you see it a lot. But to differentiate between fantasy magic and real magic. Again, we could spend hours diving into this topic, but the overarching goal of the 7 Wonders is for you to answer these questions for yourself and to find how you relate to magic in your real life, in your everyday world. While the 7 Wonders is a magical recovery and discovery program, again, it is not a formal study in magic or magical traditions. Although I do hope that as a result of doing the 7 Wonders that you will explore magic in the real world. And there's all kinds of information out there. So last time in the 7 Wonders, chapter 8, the 7 Wonders of Connection, we just made some simple connections to our growth and progress through the recovery program to date. You know, the very act of setting intentions and working intentionally with affirmations is very basic and effective magic. So getting to the basics of how magic really works is profoundly beneficial. Again, even if you're a longtime practitioner, just coming back to these simple practices and some of these basic day-by-day things that we have to keep up with, it's a great way to start out the new year. This is why shadow work and writing daily in our shadow pages is so critical, because our beloved shadow is actually the part of our soul that holds our subconscious information. It's also our creative child, our sexual animal, and the connection to the underworld or the earthbound spirit realm. It knows only truth, but it can see through illusions and deception. As such, our shadows are actually shapeshifters. They adapt to environments and people to interact, shield, disguise, or project. Our shadow self does not exist in linear time. It experiences the past, present, and future all as one moment. This is why one day we can feel really dramatic and large and accomplished one day, and very small and timid and defeated the next. But nothing gets past our shadow, and the more we learn to work with it, the more our shadow will trust us and begin to release the subconscious information up into our higher consciousness. But full connection is really what our shadow wants and is also excellent at achieving for us. All right, let's get right to the reading and lesson for Chapter 9, the 7 Wonders of Magic. This week, bewitched and be balanced. I've identified as a witch my entire life, so my understanding of shadow work and magic is aligned with the principles and teachings of indigenous witchcraft traditions, as well as advancements in modern occultism and quantum physics. In general, most witches, mystics, shamans, and healers see balance and imbalance as opposed to the good and evil thing. While many identify shadow as dark or evil, it's actually a part of the lower, childlike aspect of our 3-part soul. Symbolized as the root system of the world tree, it is the part of our soul that connects us to the earth, to worldly pleasures, to instincts, fears, intuition, empathic abilities, and imagination. But being underground, Also means our shadow can see and sense earthbound spirits, ancestors, and connect with the animal world and small children. The trunk of the world tree is our middle soul, or conscious self. This is where the information flowing from the lower and upper souls, or superconscious and subconscious, meet and are logically formed into everyday experiences, understanding, and language. This is where our ego lives, and our sense of self is communicated. This is where we organize understanding of our environment and learn how to interact with others. Our middle soul is where our focus, visualization, and manifestation powers reside. It's the part of our consciousness that experiences time as linear. It is also the voice of our inner critic, who is constantly chattering at us as inner dialogue. This is where our skepticism lives, as well as our common sense about things. And like a website, when too many people try to log in at the same time, our middle soul can suffer input failure, trying to process too much information at the same time, from the outside world and the internal world. So our middle soul needs the release and safety of our shadow pages as well. The middle soul will often lead and weave in and out of our shadow pages journal, which is perfectly natural. But learning how to communicate with and discipline this voice takes practice and awareness. But in time, our beloved shadow can come to trust the input and feedback that comes from our middle soul, as these two begin to balance and complement one another. Our middle soul is also where our inner parent lives, or inner mentor, that our beloved shadow can turn to for advice, and vice versa. The branches of the world tree represent our higher soul, or God consciousness. And by God, I don't necessarily mean the biblical representation, but the master consciousness of the seen and unseen universe. It's an aspect of an eternal connection to the source of all creation, the Akashic records, pure everlasting light and love, the source of all magic, all souls, and all things, where all exist as one, without beginning and without end. This aspect of our consciousness is where we access enlightenment, inspiration, and serenity. Our higher soul is the part of our soul that can astral project and connect with the angelic or higher astral realms. This is where our compassion comes from, and where the source of all healing resides, and can easily and accurately be identified as our higher power. Messages from our higher soul will also drift into our shadow work and shadow pages. With time and practice, the higher soul can more easily braid with and through our lower levels of consciousness. And by doing a weekly vision quest, we balance communication with our total soul consciousness body. As our higher power, our higher soul recognizes all divine messages, visible and invisible. Our higher soul actually initiates, attracts, and supports synchronicity for us, both creator and creative energy. It's the grace of intelligent magic itself. All right, Chapter 9, Task, Assignment, and Spell Work. Self-possession, an exercise, not an exorcism. Having a general idea and awareness of our three-level soul can and will achieve a greater sense of wholeness and magical well-being. When balanced, we are the perfect tool for sensing and conducting magic. In many traditions, this is called self-possession, meaning fully self-possessed. We're not inviting alien entities to possess us. We're balancing our complex soul into a greater sense of self-awareness. We're in full possession of our complete self, which is powerful magic. Give yourself about an hour of alone time and enter a meditative, relaxed state of being, per your usual practice. A simple method is just to sit quietly and, let yourself just take a couple of easy breaths, and then you want to close your eyes. Take a deep inhale through your nose, breathe all the way down into your belly, hold for a beat, and then exhale up your spine and up to the top of your head, hold for a beat, and repeat that process for 10 full cycles. Next, get a large piece of blank paper and get yourself a good quill or pen, and then you're just going to sit and you're going to sketch an image of a tree. Again, this is not art. You don't have to be an artist. Just let yourself sketch a tree, even if it looks like, something a kid would do. That's fine. As you're drawing the image of the tree, you do want to envision that you are actually drawing a picture of yourself as a tree. And as you, if you can start like the first branch, you want to trace a line that comes down and maybe has the outline of the trunk and then equal proportion down to the root. You can just make that one stroke, or you can make it an outline if you'd like. Make it as intricate or as simple as you want. Don't overcomplicate it though. The point is, this is a meditation. Do the same thing, start with your second branch. See if you can create a kind of like a braid effect. Do this until you feel like your tree is complete, and then kind of sit back and look at it. And next you want to take your pen and just on the top where the branches are, you want to do like a dotted outline around that. And then where the trunk of the tree is, do the same thing, just a dashed outline around the trunk. Same thing with the root system. You've just created your own world tree. At the top of your tree where the branches are, you want that circle to be labeled higher soul. In the trunk section, where that middle circle is, you want to label that middle soul. In the bottom root system, that circle, shadow self. Once you've done that, gaze at your picture and see if you can superimpose an actual image of yourself, your body, within that tree. And as you're doing this, you want to take deep inhales in and imagine those are waves of energy that actually penetrate your body down to your bones, down through the cells and into the quantum field as warm, healing energy. As you're doing this, notice how it feels in your body. A lot of people, myself included, I have a sense of cobwebs. I call it my spidey senses, but it does kind of feel like either my hands, forearms, back of my neck, like I'm walking through cobwebs, almost. It's a little different for everyone. Everyone's body is different, but in this practice, you're gonna find that energy. Hold that. And when you've done that, you've achieved it. And every level of your consciousness remembers it, how it looks, will imprint it on its consciousness, along with the feeling associated with it. Close your practice. If it takes you a couple times to kind of raise that energy, just repeat this process. You don't have to redraw the picture, but just sit with it. Repeat until you actually do feel a different sensation in your body. Probably won't last very long, but just remember that. Your complete consciousness will remember it as well. And keep your picture handy. Maybe put it somewhere where you can see it every day for 7 days. Hang it on a mirror or put it on your desk. Shadow talk, soul to soul. While the self-possession practice is highly effective, we must continuously check in with the 3 levels of our soul consciousness to ensure that each one is being heard, nurtured, and respected. Each level of our soul consciousness resides over 3 basic forms or categories of magic. Therefore, by communicating with them frequently and directly, we can identify any blockage or imbalance that will affect our overall magical abilities and experience. Higher soul, or higher power, theurgy, from the Greek meaning God work, astral projection, summoning the divine or divine beings, angelic realm messengers and messages, creative inspiration, spiritual healing and well-being, special knowledge, a state of nirvana. Middle soul, or inner parent, inner critic, that's our force of will. Mental influence in the physical world, psychokinesis or telekinesis, spellcasting, prayers, yes, I said prayers, alchemy, physical healing, and achieving goals. Lower soul, or shadow self, this is divination, tarot reading, crystal gazing, oracle work, empathic abilities, shape-shifting, emotional healing, passion, creating art, communicating with animals and birds, connecting with ancestors, and sensing earthbound spirits and ghosts. Our shadow self is, in many ways, the most vulnerable and the most difficult to understand. This is why we engage with shadow in our shadow pages. Our shadow leaps from thought to thought, past to future, resentments to guilt, in uneven, chaotic ways. Like a hyper-anxious youngster, our shadow is often crying out for help. Our middle soul is essentially the part of our consciousness fielding these calls. It is also the part of ourselves best suited for listening and offering reasonable suggestions to our shadow self. Try putting in a simple call to your middle soul when your shadow self needs help with a problem. Example: Beloved shadow, I'm worried about the cat. He seems to be losing weight and seems uneasy. I know he's getting older. I may be imagining things, but I can't help noticing. What should I do? Middle soul or inner parent. He's getting older and very connected to you, so you're not imagining things. Spend more time holding him. He's probably experiencing aches and pains associated with old age. He's eating well every day and he has an appetite. Let's keep an eye on him and maybe schedule a checkup for him later this month. It's a great practice to occasionally think of shadow pages as internal divination. In this way, you can direct and answer questions from the appropriate internal sources. If there's a particular problem that won't let you sleep, go ahead and try to write through in your Shadow Pages journal. This internal communication will help cipher off tension while providing some self-comfort. Maybe even some viable answers and action steps will materialize as a result. I've sat with my shadow pages many times at 3 a.m. and I find that I can get another 3 or 4 hours sleep after that if I write for about 30 minutes. Next, the body electric, feeling emotions versus feeling magic. Knowing the difference between intense and subtle emotions for magic takes attention and practice. Many of us who are in the magical world are cautioned. Be careful with your words and don't curse someone accidentally in a fit of, say, road rage. This, of course, is sound advice, and I have applied it to myself on many, many occasions. Emotions and magic are braided very tightly together and naturally enhance one another. While our shadow self is where our passion and emotions originate, it does not necessarily have access to all the keys of our magic. This can really piss off the shadow self. But unintentionally harming another person can cause our beloved shadow much pain as well and disrupt balance. Because when our higher soul senses pain, it works to produce healing no matter the cause. For this reason, it helps to know that we are free to react in the ways in which we react. And when balanced, our higher soul knows when to neutralize anger from magical charge. Emotions are part of the deal when agreeing to take human form. And remember, anger is a tough love friend whose energy is a source of power. It also helps to identify how various emotions feel in our bodies. For example, next time you feel an intense emotion, say anxiety, anger, or fear, try to freeze yourself in that moment. Then scan your body for physical position and physical responses. What does your body feel and look like when you're in this emotional state? Chances are you will also lose that particular feeling in the process, which is sort of an instant cool down, whether you want it to be or not. The point is to notice and catalog the difference between energetic emotions and intentional magic. Take note on your breathing. Is it shallow, fast-paced? Are you breathing at all? What are the sensations in your body? Where is that emotion physically registering in your body? Does your body temperature rise or lower? Check the temperatures of your hands in the same way. Strong emotions evoke strong reactions in our bodies. If you did the self-possession exercise, you already know how different magic feels in your body. The feeling of spider webs, or as I call it, my spidey senses. A friend refers to these feelings as truth bumps. Magic carries a specific charge across the body. The current feels different from our usual emotional spectrum. Through practice, train yourself to recognize to know the difference. All right, that wraps Chapter 9, The 7 Wonders of Magic. Don't forget, in addition to the task and spell work of this week, you want to continue with your shadow work basic tools. You want to make sure you're writing in your shadow pages every day, at least 3 pages. You want to do your shadow dance about 20 minutes, 1 night a week. Get yourself on a vision quest for just 1 hour once a week. Once again, all the task and spell work associated with this video you can find on the blog post associated with Chapter 9, The 7 Wonders of Magic. Join me next Saturday, January 16th for Chapter 10, The 7 Wonders of Ritual. Until then, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I'll see you at the Rainbow's Edge.